Townsend and Michael Steele. Donald Trump sparks 2 days of chaos for our economy and then skips town. House Democratic leader Hakeem Jeffries is here to respond. Plus, a judge orders the Trump administration to bring back a man they wrongfully sent to a prison in El Salvador, the ruling drawing a stunning response from the White House. And Democrats look to build on a week of action in Congress and positive election results that delivered a bit of hope to the party. So grab your coffee, settle in. Welcome to the weekend.
You know, folks, it just really feels like Donald Trump is intentionally setting fire to the global economy. And much of the world, well, they seem like they're ready to fight back. China is pushing America with a new round of steep tariffs on all goods, emphasis on all goods imported from the United States. France is urging the rest of the European Union to stop investing in America. And as for Canada, you know, our friendly neighbors to the north, they plan to respond with, quote, force. On Wall Street, the U.S. stock market suffered its worst week since the start of the pandemic during Donald Trump's first term. And since Trump took office in January, the S&P has fallen more than 15%. As for the president, well, he was very concerned about this. He left Washington on Thursday for a long weekend in Florida. And while the markets tumbled, the president was at his luxurious golf course. Look at that. It's not just the stocks, though, folks. Trump's tariffs could soon increase inflation, hurting working families the most. We're talking everything from microwaves to cars, and trucks will get more expensive. Not to mention the rising costs at the grocery store. Although the eggs are down, maybe that's because of the bird flu situation is coming under control.
Well, you know, I think you nailed it when you talked at the top about intentionally sort of setting the global economy on fire. It's part of the playbook. It's not just disruption at home, but abroad as well. And it is good to see, you know, our partners, as long as they remain our partners, saying, hey, you know, we're drawing the line in the sand here. Now, we'll see how much they back that up. But at least they're not, you know, bending over so many, from lawyers to others in this country have started to do.
We're going to talk a lot about what this means for American families, the way in which this is making our lives worse in so many ways. But I also have to say, I heard the new Canadian Prime Minister in a speech talk about how America is ceding the mantle of global economic leadership. And it really pained me, because this is a leader who on Monday, meaning Donald Trump, could wake up and change his mind, right? He could willy-nilly decide, but we cannot get back the trust and the faith that has already been lost from our allies across the globe.
The people cannot get back the money that they've lost in their 401ks and their pensions because the market is going like this. Can I just note, I got an email from Steve this morning. Steve watches the show. We love Steve. And Steve just got back from a Viking cruise tour with he and his wife, and they did Southeast Asia. And they talked about the fact that their tour guide in Hanoi was telling them about the new Trump club coming, the golf course coming to Hanoi, Vietnam. And he also read it in the local newspapers, and then obviously was very shocked to get home and see what was happening with the tariff situation and Vietnam. So I'm just saying, Steve had questions, emoluments. He was like, questions. Where's the oversight hearing? I'm like, Steve, you're asking the right questions. So joining us now, someone that can answer those questions, is Congressman Robert Garcia. He's a Democrat from California, and former Florida Congressman David Jolly. He is an MSNBC political analyst. Anybody want to answer Steve's question, right, Congressman?
I mean, look, I think, well, we should be very concerned about the tariffs and what's happening right now. This is the single most disruptive thing that Trump could do to the economy. This is the biggest tax increase that Americans are going to see in a generation. And what people need to understand is that the price of goods are going to go up. They may not see it immediately, but it's going to take over the next few weeks and months. There will be increases. People have been anticipating the tariffs. A lot of large retailers, grocery stores. They didn't anticipate how big it was going to be. And so now this is major disruption for America's ports, the supply chain, and small businesses that are dependent on imports and exports. This is incredibly damaging to the economy, and it honestly is a slap in the face to the global marketplace and to all of our allies as well.
David, I want to play a little bit from Jerome Powell who, in speaking at the Society for Advancing Business Editing and Writing, had this to say about what this moment is relative to higher inflation.
While uncertainty remains elevated, it is now becoming clear that tariff increases will be significantly larger than expected. And the same is likely to be true of the economic effects, which will include higher inflation and slower growth. While tariffs are highly likely to generate at least a temporary rise in inflation, it's also possible that the effects could be more persistent.
So the possible effects could be more persistent, and one of those effects, goes to what Simone and I and Alicia were talking about before, and that is, well, how the impact is on my 401k. I have a buddy of mine we kind of got this rolling track now since the Dow dropped the first time 900 points. And he lost $15,000. Well, he lost $17,000 yesterday. So he's down in his retirement $32,000 in 3 weeks. He's not getting that money back in another 3 weeks. How do you see the longer term horizon relative to inflation, not just the tariff piece, but the domestic economy for families and communities that are going to have to struggle through higher prices, fewer resources available for retirement because it's just evaporating because Donald Trump doesn't give a damn about your money?
Yeah, Michael, let's start with a snapshot in time, a real statistic measurable by consumer confidence. Donald Trump has had a greater impact on economic uncertainty than COVID-19 did. Think about that. In a matter of 75 days, Donald Trump has proven worse than COVID for economic uncertainty. That's your buddy. That's families across the country. Those are consumers, low income, high income, wherever they are. And I think what's fascinating with this issue that we may not see with others in the same way, and I agree with Robert, there's a latency to this where it's going to get much worse, is, Donald Trump kind of mastered the low propensity, low information space. Whether because his message was right or in this last election, he turned out new voters and got more new voters to turn in his direction. But it was a low information space that kind of ignored, as we know, Donald Trump does, the nuance of policymaking or the secondary or tertiary effect of promises that can't be kept. Donald Trump just says, hey, I'm going to fight for you. You're going to be better off, all these things. And it cracks through the low information space. A lot of issues don't, because federal policy making is clunky, because there's latency, because maybe it doesn't impact people's home directly. This one does. Donald Trump is actually shattering the low propensity, low information space with all bad news. It is economic anxiety. It is higher prices. It's why we see now Donald Trump being measured as being worse than COVID, because the low propensity space is saying, hold on, what just happened? And I think what Donald Trump is really missing here, we know he doesn't understand the economics. That is absolutely clear by his language and his behavior. But to Alicia's point about the world economy kind of moving on, I'm not sure Donald Trump realizes that the world economy may not need the United States of America in 2025. In the past, in trade wars, we were the heavyweight where maybe we knew we could win. I'm not sure we win this trade war. You're seeing other nations begin to align. Other nations begin to say, well, we will replace America as a trading partner with this other country, or we will create new regional trading agreements. There is a good possibility that Donald Trump just launched a trade war that doesn't just cool off, doesn't just return back to baseline, but a trade war that the United States loses. And it is because of his ignorance, but also because of his vanity that he's gotten us into this. I don't know how he gets us out of it, truly.
Let's talk about the ignorance and the vanity. While all of this is happening, Representative Garcia, you got the President of the United States busy golfing. And it's not just that he's golfing. That's fine. Everybody deserves a break. The problem is also that he's doing it on our dime. This is new reporting from the HuffPost. We, taxpayers, have been floating the tab for his second-term golf excursions. That number crossing the $26 million mark. So I just want to get this straight. They are going into federal agencies that provide vital services to our children, to our seniors. They are slashing those budgets. They are getting rid of federal employees. But we have found $26 million for the President of the United States to drive around his golf course. Am I getting that right, Congressman?
I mean, that's absolutely right. I mean, they should be sending DOJ to go and investigate all of Donald Trump's golfing trips. The simple fact that the day after and the days after, he basically crashed the market, destroyed our economy, hurt workers, is going to raise the cost of housing because actually construction of housing is going to get dramatically